There have been reports of flash flooding in several communities throughout Trinidad. The list, as compiled by the Ministry of Rural Development and the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, includes Rochard Douglas Road, Barrackpore, Gonzales Village, Guapo, Egypt Village, Trincity and Piarco intersection, as well as San Francisco and parts of Cedras. There are high water levels in the Arima River in Manuel Congo and landslides in Aripo, where it was also reported that people were marooned. Commuters are being advised to proceed with caution when traversing the nation's roadways as heavy rainfall continues across the country. Ian Wallace is here to tell us more.
And good afternoon. The Meteorological Service has put out a riverine flood alert at the orange level for Trinidad only, mainly because the river levels are near threshold along the Caroni River Basin and there's minor flooding elsewhere. Meanwhile, the likelihood of a flooding increases as you get towards the high tide. We've had high tide at 10 a.m. and the next one will be through this evening. Also, the adverse weather alert remains in effect until Thursday, which is 8 p.m. this evening, with the possibility of street or flash flooding, gusty winds, as well as landslides and landslips. So be mindful of that. Now, just to give you an explanation of these public level warnings and their color systems, as we are at yellow for the adverse weather, and at orange for the riverine flood alert, basically there's a moderate risk of a street or flash flooding and those gusty winds, but there's a high risk of the flood alert coming through as you go towards the high tide, so be mindful of that. So definitely prepare if you are along the Caroni River Basin as you go through this afternoon. Now, this is just a reminder from the ODPM of the areas which are prone to flooding as you go through, so be mindful of where you are and obviously take note of where the very high risk colors are, which is in dark blue, and then the higher color as you get towards more of a turquoise color. Now, we have been seeing quite a bit of activity from the ITCZ and also a lot of moisture pushing through. It's also part of a line of clouds that's been drifting towards the south. Early on this morning, we saw a few of those heavy showers coming, especially around Tobago and then down towards eastern areas of Trinidad. And then we have some upper level conditions as well, which is basically enhancing the showers. Now, as we go through the afternoon, there will be some daytime heating. So we'll likely see some of those showers again becoming heavy as you go through this afternoon. Now, the outlook into Friday is that most of the activity should begin to shift towards the south. That would leave Tobago under clearer skies, but still a few showers are expected on Friday, but generally brighter weather. Now, if you're in a Tobago, you may begin to see the sunshine peeking out towards the extreme north, but generally it will be cloudy with a scattering of showers as you go through your afternoon. Meanwhile, for Trinidad, the likelihood of a few showers coming through that could turn thundery is there. There's a low chance, but overall you'll be seeing those heavy bursts of rain coming across the northern range and especially down towards central and southern areas. So San Fernando through Pinal down towards the Carcass as well. You'll be seeing heavy rain as you go through the afternoon, continuing possibly into this evening. Temperature-wise, looking at a comfortable possibly 31 degrees Celsius across both Trinidad and Tobago today. Meanwhile, for boaters and fisherfolk, remember that the hazardous seas alert is also in effect into Saturday at 2 p.m. That means for coastal areas offshore of Tobago and eastern Trinidad, be mindful that we could be seeing some dangerous currents and large waves. And this is simply because we got low-level winds which have been strengthening from the east, now at about 20 knots, but could be getting up to 25 knots, which means we're seeing waves over 3 meters in the Caribbean, possibly closer to 3.5 out in the Atlantic, and those east-northeasterly swells of 9 seconds. Now, we've been talking about the high tides. We've had one at 10 a.m. Next one is going to be at 9 p.m. So that's why we're quite concerned about the fact that we could be seeing more rainfall. And obviously, with the high tide through this evening, obviously the river levels are set to rise further. So that's a look at your weather right now. Now it's back to Mahalia.